Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. Welcome back to our Uddhava-gita course. And today we are still in this beautiful chapter, chapter 11, where Krishna is giving Uddhava the basics of the whole spiritual path. And now we've gotten to the point discussing bhakti. So now he's discussed all the basics and he's risen up to the topmost yogic practice, bhakti yoga. And so today he's going to give us the basic practices of bhakti yoga. And then Uddhava is going to ask him a very interesting question. Who is a true devotee? So that's all happening today. And we already have 40 recorded classes. So if you want to watch the entire Uddhava-gita course, make sure you become a member of this channel. The instructions are here in the description of the video for you to become a member of the channel. And then you can access the whole course. So here we are. We are in we're in the 11th canto, chapter 11, verses 23 and 24. So Krishna says, my dear Uddhava, narrations of my pastimes, my leelas and qualities are all auspicious and purify the entire universe. A faithful person who constantly hears, glorifies and remembers such transcendental activities, who through dramatic performances relives my pastimes, beginning with my appearance, and who takes full shelter of me, dedicating his dharma, his pleasure, sensual activities, occupational activities for my satisfaction, certainly obtains unflinching bhakti, devotional service to me, the eternal personality of Godhead. Very important double verse here. Very important. So let's take a look again. So first, of course, Krishna is saying, Mat Katha. So it's very important. Krishna Katha. The narrations about Krishna. This is the basis of bhakti. How does bhakti work? How can you direct your mind to one specific form of God? We're not talking about a generic uplifting of consciousness, which we can achieve without having knowledge of God. Just a general idea, as in many other religions, you're just like oh God, the Supreme, the Creator, oh Lord. Okay, that's one thing. So that, you just you're a good person and you're worshipful and you're respectful, and they say God-fearing. It's a strange term, but they have this term, God-fearing. We like God-loving, not God-fearing. Anyway, so you're God-fearing. So generic concepts of God. Okay, that's one type of thing. And you're doing your life and you have this generic concept of the Supreme Lord. And it's kind of God-fearing because, like this guy is the big boss, and if I don't, watch out, I'm going to hell. So that's one thing. But in this tradition, we're going to somewhere else with bhakti. Devotion has a different direction, a different power, a different purpose. So what we're doing is we're trying to direct our attention to a loving involvement with God, and a specific form of God, a specific Bhagavan form, not a generic thing, a specific Bhagavan form. And that's why we talk about Krishna's, just in this last class, he talked about my Krishna and Balaram is this topmost form. So it's this idea of focusing your mind on a specific, maybe you're a Ram devotee. So then you're going to specifically focus your mind on Sita, Ram, and Hanuman, and Ayodhya. And that's going to be your focus. And then, no, I want to do Krishna. So, okay, is it Krishna in Vrindavan? So it's Radha, Krishna, and little Balaram in Vrindavan with the cowherd boys, the gopis and the gopas. And so that's a focus. No, it's this Krishna, but in Dwaraka. Oh, so okay, so it's going to be Rukmini and Krishna and the queens and Krishna in his stately form with Uddhava next to him. So that's a specific thing. So how do you get there? You get there by katha, specific Krishna katha. So if I want to focus on Krishna, I have to direct my mind with Krishna katha. That's the ticket into these special realms of God. Everywhere you have to have a ticket to get in, right? You can't just walk into places. You have to be invited. You have to have a ticket. So the ticket into these specific topmost realms of God is kata. You have to absorb your mind in those topics of that specific form of God. And that is the great, unique contribution of the Vedas, of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the unique contribution of this tradition. Other traditions, they do not have kata because they have no information about God. It's just a generic God, the great, powerful Lord, supreme. It's just a generic thing. So then it's just, okay, it's a generic thing and you're just a good person and you focus on God. Okay, you get it. There's a generic concept of God. But it's different here. The bhakti tradition in the Vedas, in the Bhagavad, they take it up another notch, in a different direction. It's not the same thing. I don't mean to, I'm not disrespecting other religions or anything. I'm just saying it's different. Because in this tradition, you really focus on developing a specific relationship, ras, specific devotional relationship. Your love will have details. The love of God in this tradition, especially in the Krishna tradition, has details. How do you love God? Do you love Him as a mother loves her son? Do you love Him as a lover loves the lover? Do you love Him as a servant loves the master? Do you love Him as a friend loves the other friend? How do you love God? It's specific. It's called the ras. There's a specific connection. And you develop that specific, and then that's where it takes off, because then it's really intense. The relationship is really focused, rich, detailed. I mean, just think of your life. Could you imagine loving anybody in your life vaguely? How would that work? Just like a vague, I don't really know the person. I don't even know their name, but I love them. I don't know what they look like, don't know their name, don't really know how we get along, exactly what we do, but I love them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a bit strange, right? That wouldn't normally make much sense, right? I mean, even if you love your dog, it's like you know exactly, the dog's name, what it looks like, how it behaves, and there's a specific relationship you have of dog owner to the dog. There's details. You have your wife, and you know your wife's name. I hope you know your wife's name. So you know your wife's name, what she looks like, what she's like, the person, and then you're acting, in the role of husband and wife. So there's specific details to that relationship. You're a father, so you know your son, you know your son's name, what they're like, your father and son, there's a specific type of relationship. So then there's like margin for that love to be huge. But if it's vague, no, I don't know what the person's name is. I don't know how I'm related to that person. Like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. And I don't know the name. I mean, then it's just like, okay, it's more of like a respect. It's, again, fear. You could fear the unknown. Like, people fear death. Like, I don't know, it might happen. So you can fear the unknown. You can be in awe of the unknown. It's like, I don't know, this huge thing is coming. I don't know what it is. So you can have awe and fear. And that's why you see that these are like characteristics that rise to the surface in other traditions that don't have information about God, specific information. But in this tradition, the unique contribution, especially the Krishna tradition, is that we do have the details. Krishna did come, and we paid attention, and we're taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity. Anybody could, but people, sometimes they don't. So we have this opportunity, and we have the information, the details. And that's what Krishna is talking about here. This is a very, very important point of Krishna Bhakti. And of course, you could do Ram Bhakti just the same. We have the specific information. Why do people love Ram? Because they have the Ramayana. They know about Ram, they have information, they know what he's like, how he behaves, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he does. They know what he's done, they know his activities, his pastimes. This word pastime is not very good, but it just means an activity performed for no other reason than out of love for God, because we have to do activities bound by karma, dharma, conditioning, but God does activities out of love. So you have to be patient with this translation, this word pastime. It's a weird, there was no, but Leela is good, or just activities. So we know these activities, these Leelas of Ram, we know the Leela because we're the Ram. So then you can develop a specific relationship with Ram. And you can follow in the footsteps of Hanuman. You have examples of these perfect devotees in perfect, so then you can mold your behavior in light of those devotees. So people do, that's how it works. That's how Krishna Bhakti works. We study the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam and we can say, oh, there's Mother Yashoda. This is the perfect example of loving Krishna in the sense of mother to son. Perfect. Mother Yashoda. Oh, what about father to son? We have Nanda Maharaj. What about the friends? Okay, we have the friends. What about the gopis? Okay, we have the gopis. Lover to lover. We have these specific, perfect examples, and then we can emulate those examples. We can understand how it works. We can know how it works. We know what Krishna is like, how he behaves, and what he likes, and then we absorb your mind in those things. That's Krishna Katha. This is the very basis of bhakti. Again, what we can have in this tradition. Not emphasize in other traditions because it wouldn't work. In other traditions, you emphasize awe, obey, just like obeying God. Fear God, obey God, be in awe of God, which is fine. That's a type of relationship as well. But it's not as much fun as dancing with God. But that is, it's a thing. Respect that. But if people want to take it a step further, then they can access this tradition. So it's very important. So focus on Krishna Katha. And why? Because Krishna is all pure, right? God is supreme pure. God is purity personified. The source of all purity is God. Now, it so happens, we call this the math of the absolute. Everything that is connected to God is God. So God's name is not different from God. God's activities are not different from God. It's exactly the same thing, it has the same power. God's form is not different from God. So whenever you see God, chant His name, hear about His activities, hear His teachings, all these things are just as powerful as God. That's why you see this over and over again about the power of the holy name. Because God's name, when you say Krishna, that is not different from God, Krishna. This is just a sonic form of the same God, Krishna. Has all the power of Krishna, because it is Krishna, just a sonic form. So when you say Krishna, when you say Ram, you're directly in the presence of Krishna and Ram. That's why chanting the holy names is so powerful. But here, chanting the activities. So when you hear about Krishna, when you hear about, it's like you're directly in touch with. And because Krishna is the source of all purity, when you're in touch with all these things, the teachings, the narrations, the name, whatever, the images, an altar, the deity, anything that's directly connected to Krishna, then you are purifying yourself immensely. Krishna says, these are all auspicious and they purify the entire universe. The entire universe. It doesn't run out of purificatory powers. It's like, oh no, you got in line too late. You can't be purified anymore. We ran out of the purifying substance. No, with Krishna Katha, it can purify the entire universe. So there's room for us. There's room for you and me. It doesn't run out. So the more you hear about it, that's when Krishna came and he spent 125 years on earth. It wasn't for nothing. It wasn't that he just took a long time to speak Bhagavad-gita and Uddhava-gita and that's all he was leaving behind. No, it's just so he could have all these wonderful activities to be registered and then retold for our mercy, for just to be merciful on us, so we could have access, so we could develop our bhakti to these levels, so we could understand what it's like, have access to this highest realm of God. And the price you pay, Krishna Katha. Immerse your mind in activities of Krishna and Krishna's form, Krishna's teaching, Krishna's name. Always, the more you absorb your mind in these wonderful, wonderful texts, this wonderful knowledge, this wonderful, hear it, read it, more you're there, you can see it, you can see these beautiful paintings. You can't see it from where you are, but there's beautiful paintings of Krishna here. Amazing. I love these. Prabhupada would call them windows to the transcendental realm. They're windows to the spiritual realm. They're just wonderful. Your mind just in Krishna. So these images, these things are directly transporting you, purifying you intensely, like nothing else can purify you, like nothing else. And so this is the essence of bhakti. So then he says, okay, so a faithful person, so you're doing it nicely, a faithful person who hears Shravanam, glorifies Kirtanam, and remembers Smaranam. These are the first 3 steps of the famous 9 steps of bhakti. Okay? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Hear, speak, remember. Simple, and it works. So I'm doing the Kirtanam. How? You're doing the Shravanam. And then we can always do Smaranam, remembering. So one who does these things. Or theater, or film, or movie, or cartoon, one who through dramatic performances relives my pastimes, he says. So yeah, there's theater for thousands of years. Has been theater on Krishna, on Ram, so there's that. And one who takes full shelter of me. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad-gita. Verse 66, a famous verse 66 of chapter 18 of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, taking full shelter of me alone. Come to me alone. Sarva dharmam parichara mamikam sharanam vraja. Come to me for sharana, for shelter. Come to me alone. Only me. So full shelter means you don't take shelter of God and maybe this other thing and maybe that other thing as well, just in case God doesn't work. No, you take full shelter of Krishna. So taking full shelter of me. Dedicating for my pleasure, madarte, dharma, kama, artan. The 3 occupations of life, dharma, artha, kama, of the goals of human life. Traditionally it's 4 goals: dharma, artha, kama, moksha, liberation. But here we're already talking about liberation, so we don't have to mention moksha because this is better than moksha. This is bhakti. In moksha, you don't get a ticket to Krishna. Moksha is, just a general getting out of material world. It's not the same thing. But, so this is much higher. So moksha isn't mentioned here. But the 3 things we do on our day-to-day lives, those things are mentioned. Dharma, artha, kama. So dharma, all your dharma, your purposes, the things you're doing. Dharma, artha, all the work you do to, pay your bills and develop things and, feed your children and keep buying, renew your clothes and fix your house. All this this work is called economic development, artha, value. Artha means value, so like searching value, whenever you're like creating value. So dharma, doing the, this includes all those things, right? How you take care of your body, your behavior as a member of society, all your different purposes, your vocation, all those things. So dharma, artha, and kama. And you have fun, right? You play some video games, you watch a movie, you watch some sports, you play sports, you go for a walk, you play with your dog. So kama. You read a book. So kama. All these things, you do those things for my satisfaction. This is the essence of Bhagavad-gita. Essence of Bhagavad-gita, verse 27, chapter 9. Whatever you do, Arjuna, do that as an offering unto me. Simple, the essence. When you start doing, I'm always teaching this here, right? You practice your dharma as an offering unto Krishna. And your artha and your kama as well, because, within your dharma is also, having kama is part of your dharma. I explain in my system is the natural dharma. I talk about the natural dharma being this, also including entertainment, having fun. And that's part of it. You have to do that as well. And of course, occupational dharma, which is work, doing work, like paying your bills. That's artha. So whatever you do that as an offering to me. So you're doing that for my satisfaction. So that person, Krishna says, certainly obtains unflinching devotional service, bhakti, to me. Beautiful, really powerful. Hope you managed to get that. Purport: those who have faith only in the impersonal, effulgent aspect of the Supreme Lord, and those who have faith only in the localized super soul, the perfect object of mystic meditation located in the heart of every living entity, are considered to be limited and imperfect in their transcendental realization. The process of mystic meditation and impersonal philosophical speculation are both devoid of actual love of God. There is no relationship with God. That's why it's devoid of love of God. You have all these impersonal teachers from the Dvaita path. They talk about love of God, but they don't really mean love of God. It's not real love. There is no relationship. Because ultimately they don't believe in Krishna. Krishna is just like, he's just some person, some representation, a teacher. You'll see they use these words, he's a great teacher, Krishna. He's not just a great teacher, he's God. He is the focus of our love. I'm doing everything for his satisfaction. He's not just some teacher. He's not just a great personality. He is the full focus of all my activities, the full focus of my heart. That's love. And just saying he's some great personality, a great teacher, that's not love. Again, that's respect, that's awe, but that's different. Bhakti is here taking it to another level, relationship. To have a relationship, you have to understand the person is real and that the relationship will continue. It's not very fun having a relationship if you know, look, it's going to end in 20 minutes. It's like that, it's hard to have a relationship. No, you're 19 minutes now. No, relationship means it's like it's there. It's continuous. So that you have to understand God is really there forever. I am really here forever. We are really having this relationship forever. It's an eternal loving relationship. That's love. So if you don't have this full personal conception of God, you can't get to this level. Again, you'll be able to reject material life, certainly. Reject, you're like a nirvana, I don't want, you can become detached, reject material life, but you can't develop real bhakti. unless you understand the nature of Krishna, the Bhagavan form of God. Again, if it's like Ram, if it's Krishna, but if you're like totally connected with that specific form of God, with a specific relationship with that form of God, focusing on the nature and qualities of that realm of God. These are the details make all the difference. So they're devoid of actual love of God and therefore cannot be considered to be perfect, to be the perfect of human life. Only one who places full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes qualified to go back home, back to Godhead. Lord Krishna's pastimes of stealing butter from the elderly gopis, enjoying life with his cowherd boyfriends and the young gopis, playing his flute and engaging in the rasa dance, etc., are all auspicious spiritual activities, and they are fully described in the 10th canto of this work. There are many authorized songs and prayers glorifying these pastimes of the Lord, and by constantly chanting them, one will automatically be fixed in smaranam, remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord exhibited his opulence upon his birth in Kamsa's prison and at the birth ceremony subsequently performed by Nanda Maharaj in Gokula. The Lord further performed many adventurous activities, such as chastising the serpent Kaliya and killing many other demons, asuras. One should regularly take part in the ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes, such as the Janmastami celebration glorifying the Lord's birth. On such days, one should worship the deity of Lord Krishna and the spiritual master, and thus remember the Lord's pastimes. The word dharma in this verse indicates that one's occupational activity should always be in connection with Krishna. And therefore, one should give in charity in the form of food, grains, clothing, etc. to the Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and whenever possible, one should arrange for the protection of cows who are very dear to the Lord. The word kama indicates that one should satisfy one's desires with the transcendental paraphernalia of the Lord. One should eat mahaprasadam, food offered to the deity of Lord Krishna, and one should also decorate oneself with the Lord's flower garlands and sandalwood pope, and one should place the remnants of the deity's clothing on one's body. One who lives in a luxurious mansion or apartment should convert his residence into a temple of Lord Krishna and invite others to come, chant before the deity, hear Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and taste the remnants of the Lord's food. Or one may live in a beautiful temple building in the community of Vaishnavas and engage in the same activities. One who engages in hearing, glorifying, remembering, and dramatically recreating the pastimes of the Lord will soon be freed from all material desire. Srila Jiva Goswami mentions in this connection that one who is advanced in Krishna consciousness may specifically be attracted to the pastimes of a devotee in the spiritual world who serves the Lord in a particular way. An advanced devotee in this world may desire to serve the Lord in the same way and thus may take pleasure in dramatically reliving the service of his worshipful devotee master in the spiritual world. And one may take pleasure in spiritual festivals, performances of particular pastimes of Lord Krishna, or activities of other devotees of the Lord. In this way, one can continually increase one's faith in the personality of Godhead. Those who have no desire to hear, glorify, or remember the transcendental activities of the Lord are certainly materially polluted and never achieve the highest perfection. Such persons spoil the opportunity of human life by devoting themselves to fleeting, mundane topics that produce no eternal benefit. The real meaning of Dharma is to constantly serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose form is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. One who has taken full shelter of the Lord is completely uninterested in the impersonal speculation about the nature of God and uses his time to advance more and more in the unlimited bliss of pure devotional service. So that's it. Let's stop here. We did a lot on these 2 verses. Very important though. I hope you took something from that. And if you have any questions, let me know. And please share this content, because the world needs to know about this level of bhakti. There's so many wonderful people in the world who are trying to love God, but they don't have this information. So if you can share this information, let more people know about this other level of devotion, this will bring great joy to the world and to God Himself. Have your rest of your day with lots of love and lots of peace. Hare Krishna.